Hey, Joe. Good to see you on this hot and steamy day that we're experiencing in our part of the country.
Yeah, it's hot and steamy down here in Delaware too. I think it's summer, right?
It's summer. That it is.
Yeah, awesome.
Gabe is in Ohio, I think, so maybe he's experiencing the same thing.
Yep, it's hot over here too.
All right.
Yes, absolutely. So Marty, hey, today we're going to be discussing the business and technology behind education, manufacturing, and robotics, and how critical it is to align them all together. And then one company that is leading the charge alongside of Fanuc Robotics, is Integrated Systems Technology, or otherwise known as IST. And IST prepares students for careers in robotics, automation, and engineering. Their offerings help pair industry-grade equipment with the latest curriculum and credentials that prepares students to hit the ground running when the graduate enters a career in advanced manufacturing. So if you'd like to check IST out on the web, you can do so. Their address is www.istus.com. So, Marty, hey, we're going to be chatting today with Gabe McCready, and he is the president of IST. Gabe has spent the first 8 years of his professional career consulting and working alongside education institutions to develop industry-backed engineering, manufacturing, and automation training programs. By working with local manufacturing employers, education entities, state workforce boards, and automation equipment builders, he has developed a unique perspective and knowledge base on how to connect education and industry to ensure education and training programs produce high-skilled individuals ready to work in the manufacturing and automation workforce sector. And outside of IST, well, Gabe does have a personal life, and he enjoys working on his family farm, mountain biking, and camping. So, hey, good afternoon, Gabe. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks, Joe. Marty, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. So I see you survived the 4th of July weekend unscathed.
That's correct. Yep. Plenty of time with family and friends. It's good to relax a little bit, but back to work on Monday.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I guess glad to have you on the show. Thanks so much for joining Marty and I. Let's just kick it off. Let's let the folks out here listening get to know a little bit more about yourself, who Gabe McCready is. So, tell Marty and I, like, what was it like for you growing up? You know, back in the day when you're a kid. Were you a techie kid? Were you always interested in robotics and automation, or did that just come out of the blue in your mind? How did that happen?
Yeah, robotics and automation kind of came later on in life, but as I alluded to kind of in the bio there, grew up on a family farm, still live on a farm, so very mechanically inclined. Always grew up problem solving, trying to figure things out. Kind of on your own when a piece of equipment breaks down in a field, for example, you figure it out. And you're welding at a young age, you're doing things, kind of on the fly. So I think problem solving, critical thinking, mechanically inclined was always there growing up, and did enjoy technology, but I kind of stumbled into this career through some family connections. So seeing the mechanical side of automation and then the electrical side come together has always been something that has, fascinated me. So I think it was really rooted in problem solving and mechanics more than anything. Wrenching on motors, doing those kind of things excite me. So I felt like automation was just a good career to kind of keep those foundational principles that I enjoy in a career.
Awesome. Yeah, that's excellent. So you mentioned that you had grew up on a farm and such like that. So kind of like that skilled trades of, you said, welding and such like that. So when did you like transition, and when did robotics start to really pique your interest? Was it during your young life, or as you got out of college and started to wonder, like, what do I really want to do in life? When did
Yeah.
that all strike?
Yeah, it was definitely one just kind of stumbled upon it after graduating college in 2016. Had a family connection that was kind of working in this industry and went to a trade show actually right in my last month of college. Didn't really know what I was going to do for sure. And stumbled upon he was demoing some robotics, and I was like, wow, it really piqued my interest and caught my eye as something that could be fun and obviously innovating, changing. Really, the manufacturing industry, it seemed like a good industry to get into at the time. Being young, really just graduating college at that time. So that's what really kind of took me into it. And I think, today that's what we continue to try and do is expose students to robotics and automation, because they don't know what they don't know. So for me, it took until, stumbling upon it in 2016. But, who knows if I saw a robot when I was in middle school or in high school, how that could even change my career path even more. So I'm, of course, happy where I am, but I think that kind of dovetails into what we do today is, we need more awareness around manufacturing, around robotics and automation, because students love it when they see it. It's just, unfortunately, a lot of times they don't see it until it's too late.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. So, kind of what gets you excited on the daily to be president of IST, working with manufacturers, working with students and educators? What excites you about that, and why education for the path of IST, and not like typical integration?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, I wake up every day for the most part excited to come to work and work with the teammates that I have, because really we have an opportunity to change lives. I think a lot of the programs that we're able to implement into these schools are career changing. They're award winning, type of careers that students can get into, and it sets them on a path for success. A lot of times, again, they weren't maybe on a good path or didn't have anything that excited them, and then they got their hands on automation and robotics and saw how cool it can really be, and realized, wow, there's a lot of careers, there's a lot of job opportunities that are, high wage careers, lifelong careers that they can get into at a very young age if they have the right, credentials, the right work ethic. They can go places. So for me, it's exciting to build a program, see one start from scratch in a high school that never thought about teaching robotics and automation. Then you see that first class graduate and the second one, and the students are coming back and they're talking to the instructors about, I'm doing this today, I'm working on this automation project today, and they're rolling in big trucks and talking about the houses that they're buying, that they maybe would have never had the opportunity to do if they never got those skill sets. So for me, it's exciting to be able to have the opportunity to help schools equip students for the jobs that are there today. My specific role, as the president, I get to work in all those facets, from working with a big manufacturer like Vanek or Rockwell Automation to servicing and installing a robot the next day. We're a small company, and that's what you do when you're in a small company. You wear a lot of hats, so for me, it's exciting to not have to sit behind a desk all day, every day, getting out in the field, whether it's consulting, installing, or going up to visit a big manufacturer. My day-to-day is very different, and that's something that I really enjoy.
Yeah. So, how big is your company? Say it's a small company. So, how small, I should say, how many employees do you have?
Yeah, so we have 11 employees, and we're growing. We're trying to add on, to that sales and service force, just because 11 across 5 states, it spreads you thin. We're a small but mighty team, but we're constantly trying to look for new individuals that are passionate about changing lives, passionate about automation, want to be in the manufacturing industry. I think that's crucial for us to have that passion behind what you're doing.
Sure.
Let's back up a little bit.
Would it be more on? Yeah, go ahead.
Let's back up, Joe, for a second. So, when did you first connect with IST? How did that happen? And why was that so valuable to you right from the get-go?
Yeah, that was back in, would have been April of 2016. And I was at a trade show in Columbus, kind of checking out a career technical education conference, kind of stumbled upon it, and then also had a family connection that was in IST at that time, so it was an opportunity to learn about it quickly, and again, it's an opportunity that was back in my hometown too. I'm from Mansfield, Ohio, Lexington, Ohio. I was in Columbus at the time. When you're from a small town and live on a farm, a lot of times you think you want to get away from that, but then when you do get away from it, all of a sudden you feel it pulling on your shoulder, like, hey, I wish I was on the farm today, So it was an opportunity to come back, be close to family, get back on the farm, and be in automation. So it's a blessing. A lot of things came together to get me to where I am today.
Okay, Joe.
Well, okay, so yeah, let's peel that back a little bit too. So you have a farm, and it's a working farm, I take it?
That's correct, yeah. I have a 105-acre farm that actually connects to my family farm that I grew up on. So,
wow.
I'm riding UTVs and four-wheelers to mom's house, for dinner still. So that's exciting
awesome.
and cool to me. But yeah, we're a functioning hay farm, and then we do lease crop ground out. So right now we have some rye, soybeans, and some feeder corn, in those fields as well.
Wow. How do you find time to do the farming aspect and then be president of IST?
It's a labor of love, and fortunate to have some flexibility in the summertime with school being out, and that's when we're baling hay, so, sometimes I get to take off work a little early and go, jump on the tractor, jump in the wagon and load hay.
Is loading hay different than it was back when I was a kid, when they would just spit out hay bales and then I was in the back of the wagon stacking it up for my buddy?
There's,
Is it different today?
Definitely technology's come a long way. I can tell you we still do it the old way. It's just my dad and brother and I. So I'm in the back of the wagon typically, grabbing them as they come off and stacking them. So we definitely still do it the old school way. But there is definitely much more efficient ways, but it comes with a cost.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember that back when I was a kid doing that, and that's some hard work.
It
keeps you in shape though.
It keeps you in shape, and I mean that's where the work ethic comes from. I wish honestly every kid could work on a farm for a summer at least, because you'd learn a lot.
Amen. So back to IST and yourself. I think I heard you say you're in 5 states. So what are the states that you cover in your region?
Correct. Yeah. So 5 states, really rooted in Ohio and Michigan. Is where we started. The business started in 2003, and then in 2020, we had the opportunity to expand into Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey, representing FANUC America in education. So that took us, adding on 3 states, 3 big states, so the last 4 years has really been developing that territory, getting our name out there. But yeah, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey are the 5 states that we're active in.
Yeah, that's a very big region, and as you said, you with 11 employees, you're trying to grow that sales infrastructure. Yeah, so you're on the road quite a bit. What are those challenges of there's so many education institutions out there, right? From tech schools to colleges, community colleges, universities. How do you reach all those, or how do you get that name out there? And is that relationship with FANUC America really important for that, because of their name and their draw? And to go further, do they help you gain access to those institutions?
Yeah, absolutely. Our partners are crucial, in getting awareness about us and how we can help, to the mass market that is out there. FANUC being the industry leader really in automation, in CNC and robotics, people trust in their name and look to that brand, for reliability and service. So they do a really good job of, pushing education, making resources available, and then promoting us, in that 5-state territory. So FANUC's a crucial partner for us. Rockwell Automation, is another one. Stratasys, Lincoln Electric. So we've partnered with some very large manufacturers. If you're from this industry, you know who they are. So when they're able to help push out marketing, and represent and, talk positively about us, that definitely helps. That's going to help get you in the door. But, you said it's a lot of road time. It's knocking doors down. It's calling, doing the things that you do, when you're in sales and consulting. You got to go meet people. You got to meet face to face. So, COVID made that challenging, especially picking up a new territory during that time. But, I've got a pretty young crew that's with me, so we were able to shift and adapt to doing things like we are today. Video conferencing was everything, during COVID. Right. So, but yeah, it's been a good journey.
Yeah, and so you did travel over to Pennsylvania, help support PSA's effort when we had Jake Hall visit, and we came to Lackawanna College. It was great having you there, great having the robots, and you did a fantastic job there. So is that typical, like what you do? You kind of support events like that to, again, help get your name out there, but also promote, the FANUC brand and promote education and robotics?
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of trailer time, a lot of taking robots on the road. Our demo robots have hundreds of thousands of miles on them. They're out in a school, every week or at a show, because, seeing's believing. The event that we did, we had, 40 to 50 young students come in and get hands-on with robots and got them excited and, probably put them on a path to think about automation and robotics. So that was an opportunity, to, create an experience for students, get awareness about Lackawanna's new program, and honestly, meet folks like you, and get to know the network, so we can talk positively about our organizations to others. I do think it comes back to networking and getting out there and meeting people, creates a good experience. So that's definitely part of what we do is get out there, volunteer your time to take robots somewhere, just because you don't know what's going to happen when you meet new people in this industry.
Yeah, sure. So do you also go to manufacturers directly just to see what their needs are in the manufacturing sector so you can understand and better prepare a student to meet the needs that are out there in manufacturing?
Yeah, it's crucial for our team to really be knowledgeable and be in manufacturers because, we need to consult and guide these schools on what needs to be taught, the principles and the technology that's happening. So unless we're a skilled sales force and understand that side, we can't really consult and recommend the best solutions. So we're constantly, working alongside our big partners to get in the doors of their customers, and see how their automation is being applied. And really push the school to do the same thing. I want that school to connect with 5 to 10 manufacturers that are in their area and understand what's being made, understand what they're doing. Robots are robots, but there's application specific. Are they painting? Are they welding? Are they dispensing? Right. So we do try and push for them to make that connection so there can be more alignment between their program and the opportunities that exist right in their backyard. So trying to push that connection is crucial for us. We're also seeing a lot of companies that are starting to build their own training programs. The workforce problem is real, so they're trying to build the talent within. So sometimes you can't rely on the school in your backyard, or they're not putting out enough talent, to keep up. So you're seeing a lot of these bigger companies especially start to do the in-house training programs, so we're doing some consulting, with them to say, this is how we do it in a school. Here's how you could do it in a short-term, incumbent worker training program. So shifting that model, so it's right inside the company's doors to, again, just try and build that skilled talent within.
Yeah, so their education and your training systems or cells that you deliver, is it just robotics, or do you get into any type of semi-automatic? I think you mentioned some welding and stuff and earlier on. Do you sell like typical welding, like semi-automatic welding training systems as well?
Yeah.
Or is it just robots?
Nope. So it's really across the board when it comes to manufacturing, which is obviously very diverse. I would say primarily focus in the automation realm, so robotics, PLCs, CNC machines, and then the manual welding as well. We're partners with Lincoln Electric, Miller Electric, and Feronius, so some big players in the welding industry. And they're obviously putting their power sources with Fanuc robots, so we're able to, do the traditional welding and be talking to that welding instructor about what's happening. Hey, automation is really coming into the welding industry. It's been around for a while, but more and more. So if you're teaching your students traditional welding, maybe you should also give them the opportunity to learn some robotic welding along that. It's only going to make them more cognizant and more ready to go to work, in the changing industry of welding and automation. Automation, for sure. 3D printing is also another big area, additive manufacturing. So really trying to blend all these technologies in a classroom. So yes, it's great if a student learns on a robot, but they understand CNC and they understand some PLC programming with some sensors, and a little bit of welding, you set the student up for success, wherever they want to go. It doesn't have to be a career in robotics. You guys know it's so diverse in manufacturing and automation that it really sets them up to go wherever they want.
Right. So if you look at the manufacturers and then some manufacturers, the large manufacturers that have universities or colleges or tech schools nearby, they quite often go to the tech school or the education institution and say, hey, can you tailor some classes around what we do, whether we use robots or whether we do any semi-automatic welding or whatever it may be. And then those schools then kind of tailor make training solutions for them. Do you often kind of do that? Do you work with manufacturing and with that local education partner there to bring solutions? And is it, if they say, hey, we do a lot of additive manufacturing, would you develop an additive manufacturing training cell?
Yeah, it's really, we try and be that liaison between that local industry and the school, because a lot of times they're speaking different languages. Your school talking about a semester term with credit hours potentially, and this is my instructor and they're not trained or they don't know anything about this. And then you have a big manufacturer that's got this huge work cell that builds X, and the instructor or dean doesn't understand how to break that down into 8-week courses across a semester. So we try and build that bridge, so to speak, to say, that machine is doing X, we can break that into a bite-sized module that can be taught in your Robotics 1 course and then the PLC in your PLC 1 course, so it's really trying to be that liaison between the two entities that both know they need to respond to the need, but don't really know how to. That's definitely where our expertise comes in, and being partners with Fanuc and Rockwell and Stratasys, these big companies that are leading the industry, they have a solution for it. It's just kind of, again, tailoring it to that school's needs or that company's needs.
Okay, so you don't have curriculum writers on your staff, do you? Or do you rely on like Fanuc's, their curriculum, or maybe Allen Bradley's curriculum? How do you work that?
Yeah, I would say 80% of the curriculum really comes from the OEM, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, you want standardization. Two, it gives you the best in class curriculum you can get. Why not get it from the OEM, that's building the system and knows it inside and out. And really, third, it aligns to, their certification requirements. Another big piece of what is important in education is an opportunity for students to get a credential or get a certification from Rockwell, from Fanuc, from Stratasys. So when they go out into industry, they have a resume, and it's not just I graduated from X university or community college or high school. And I have all these industry recognized credentials. If you're a shop floor manager and you see, a degree program, you don't really know what's taught in there. But when you can see these same certifications and credentials that you're sending your employees to, that's valuable. That's, whoa, okay, this student did learn on this same piece of equipment. I can trust that they know, a little bit more than probably the other guy. So a lot of times having that certification and curriculum that comes from the OEM, is crucial. What we really try and do is provide project-based learning exercises or how to apply it. So you're learning, for example, material handling with a robot, but how about a lab on how to 3D print a new end-of-arm tooling, gripper to be able to pick up X object because company X makes this, applying those principles and forcing the students to think critically about how to use that equipment, not just program and build, trace a square. It's okay, I need to pick up this object out of the CNC machine, and I need a special gripper designed. Those are the type of things that we create as those project-based learning applications.
Well, what a need too. I mean, how many other companies are you aware of in the industry like IST to try to satisfy this huge need to educate, whether it be high school all the way up through and even transitional employees, to educate them on robotics? It's got to be daunting. How many do you have that you know of?
Yeah, there's quite a few out there that are, doing good things and promoting absolutely what we're doing. Fanuc does have a education solution provider network, and that's what I am, an ESP in that 5-state territory. Just like they have ASIs, for the industry side, they have ESPs for the education side. I believe there's 14 or 15 entities that do that. So I'm one of those 14 that covers the 5 states. The other states are covered by those other entities. So there's people out there doing it, but the need is so great right now. And we're really experiencing right now more than ever. People have been talking about the skills gap, and it's coming, it's here. We're living it right now, so education can't really keep up or respond probably quick enough right now. But we're doing what we can, and I think it takes manufacturers, it takes state and local boards, it takes everybody right now, to be responding to this, because it's going to continue to hold manufacturing back, in the U.S. if we don't have skilled talent.
Yeah, you said the state and local boards and so, on that the side of the government, and I saw at one particular time in the past here you were on the state Senate floor.
Yeah,
you were giving a little presentation. How was that?
It was pretty cool. Yeah, I had an opportunity to go with Paul Ayala, the director of education for Fanuc America. We were, in the Senate caucus building, just promoting the need for robotics and AI training and funding. Honestly, it comes down to a school can't do a lot of these things and respond to training needs if they don't have funding to do it. Build the labs and have the high-tech equipment and be able to hire skilled instructors to teach it. If they don't have those resources, we're going to be stuck, not being able to train individuals. So that was a cool experience to lug a robot, on the Senate caucus floor, do some demos, something I had obviously never done before. So again, another example of a cool experience, that automation has provided me that I never would have thought I'd be going to Washington, D.C. to demo a robot in the Senate building.
Yeah, I bet that had a real positive impact. You speak so well about what you do. You can definitely, sense, your excitement about it. You're deeply vested in it, and it's refreshing. So congratulations on that. And so I think it is a hurdle. So I wanted to talk to you about what are the largest hurdles that you're seeing today. And awareness is one for sure, right? But then talk a little bit more about what guides us, or where can we start to help promote this need for education, just beyond, podcasts like this. I mean, or going to Senate floor. What are you seeing? Because I know you're on the street. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack there. It does definitely come back to the awareness and educating. I think a lot of schools and just people in general don't realize how much is manufactured right in their local, economy, or especially us in the Midwest here. We're fortunate over this way, to have a ton of automotive manufacturing and, so many things that are built here, and people do not realize it. They've driven by those factories, for so many years. Obviously, manufacturing had a tough time in 2008, and a lot of pull out there, but it's coming back. So I think it's that awareness, it's educating on the need and the opportunities that exist, and then having the funding again to follow it. Again, I'll come back to needing the resources, to build these types of labs out. It's not inexpensive, so a lot of times we're trying to write grants and find state funding and federal funding to be able to basically pull the funds in, but having the hardware and the software and the curriculum is one thing, but trained instructors is a huge hurdle right now. Manufacturers can't find people to work, in their high skilled positions. Try and be an instructor and teach robotics, PLCs, hydraulics, pneumatics, sensors, all the things that we want them to know. Finding that individual is tough because they have an opportunity to go out into industry and make twice what they're going to make as a teacher. That's something that's very real, is finding the talent to teach young individuals. That's probably one of the biggest hurdles I see when I walk into a school is, we can go find the funding and we can, we know what we need to build out, but who's going to teach it? Who are we going to find to do that? So I think promoting, those individuals that are looking at retiring right now that have all that wealth of automation knowledge, they were the individual on the floor that everybody went to for that problem. All that knowledge is about to be like a vacuum. It's being sucked out of all these organizations as they retire. So my call to action kind of is like, go back, give back to that local school, go volunteer, sit on that advisory board and talk about how, your experience, could help shape that next instructor or be a supporting individual for that instructor, because that is, I would say, probably a top 3 problem right now is just that talent to teach. It's hard to find right now.
Yeah, and not only, I guess you're going back even into like the high school level, right? So it's not just, postgraduate from high school. Are you talking to a lot of high school administrators?
Absolutely, yeah. Our primary, market is high school, community college, and university. So those are the main entities that we're in. We're starting to get into the middle schools as well, just because, you got to hook them earlier. You got to get them excited about it. High school's too late a lot of times, so trying to get robotics and coding and STEM into the middle schools, that's happening, that is a good thing that's occurring. But again, finding somebody to teach it gets more and more challenging. As I want you to understand more about automation, I need somebody, that's lived it and experienced it. We can train instructors, don't get me wrong, but the best instructor is somebody that's lived it. Somebody that's been in automation and came out and can talk about what they saw and how the industry is changing. But it's hard to find those individuals. I know some really, really good instructors, and they worked in industry and they almost give back now because, again, there's so much opportunity for someone that's very skilled with experience to make really good money. So they're typically taking some type of pay cut and almost, more service oriented, trying to give back and build that next workforce, build that next individual. We need more of it.
Yeah, Marty. So hopefully this helps get the word out to
Yeah.
those potential educators. It certainly sounds like there's a need there.
Yeah, I didn't think about it from that
Yeah.
standpoint, finding the
So
instructors, because we can be successful in getting young people in interested in it, but if you don't have instructors to do it, I never quite thought about that with that kind of clarity. That's interesting. With all that being said, you're obviously bought in completely, Gabe. Are you? I'm going to answer the question. I think I know the answer to the question, but go a little deeper on. Are you optimistic about the future? Are you optimistic about the change that you're bringing? Talk to me about that.
I am, absolutely. I think you could probably tell I'm pretty passionate about this, and it kind of goes back to the first question you guys asked about like what gets you excited, or what's your day like. It's the opportunity to change a life. It's the opportunity to build a program that graduates 20 students, and they all go to work right out of high school, and they don't accrue debt, and they change their life. That is something that's impactful. Oh, and by the way, it created the workforce that local manufacturer needed to build that product right here in your home state, or your local economy. That's cool. I think it's this bigger picture that I try and look at of U.S. manufacturing and making things here and being a strong country. It comes back to us making things. That's what we were rooted in. So I think I can see that happening, even if it's on a small scale, like I said, in a high school in a very rural town, that you never have been to, and you see what happens there when a program is built with a passionate instructor, with an administration that supports that instructor. There's some really cool schools that I could take you to and programs I could take you to that would blow you away. You would be absolutely blown away at their graduation rate, and where they're employed, and those local manufacturers that can talk about, I need 20 more students from that program, that they're lined up waiting for that next wave of talent to come through. If we can continue to do that more and more and scale that, we can definitely put a dent in the skills gap and continue to bring manufacturing back. But again, it's going to take all hands on deck. It's going to take the government, it's going to take education, it's going to take private and local businesses to give and think, so it can be done, and I am definitely optimistic, but there's a big hill in front of us. It is a challenge.
Well,
yeah, sure. And what? Go ahead, Marty.
it is being done. You are doing it, and change happens with one person or a small group of people continuing to stir the pot, seeing and experiencing what you just said, because that becomes fuel. That becomes the passion, and you'll continue to convey that. So it is happening. Just keep up the good work, man. Just keep talking the story.
I appreciate you saying that, Marty.
Yeah, Gabe. So, do you have any events coming up that you'd like to share so that we could spread the word on that you're going to be at promoting?
Yeah, we got a couple that are coming up through the summer. Most of them, next week we'll be at the Ohio ACTE conference, which is in Columbus. That's focused around career technical education in Ohio. So we'll be promoting, some of the latest CNC and robotic solutions to, again, try and help schools understand what's happening. We'll be focused around CNC machine tending actually at this one. Again, another area that just we need more training around. Promoting a solution that could be put into a classroom, for example, to teach that. The following week after that, we'll be in Pennsylvania at State College for another CTE-focused conference as well. And then in August, we have a hands-on demo day at APT Manufacturing, which is in Hicksville, Ohio. And again, that's just an open house for educators to be able to get hands-on, learn a little bit about these products, understand how they're used in industry. And again, that's on August 7th. And on my LinkedIn, I've been pushing invites and, flyer out on that. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely sign up there. But those are a couple that are coming up. We definitely stay action-packed and on the road for those conferences.
Okay, great. All right, we're going to wrap it up here. Really appreciate your time. But before we do, I'd like for you to share maybe a success story. Anything that could have happened, like maybe a school that you really supported really well and they're having great strides. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah, the list is long. I definitely have some good ones and some good success stories. But more recent one would be in Pennsylvania and downtown New Kensington, actually. Penn State University, their New Kensington campus. They created what's called the Digital Foundry right in downtown New Kensington. Kind of an area that, probably hasn't seen a lot of attention in a little while, and they wanted to be a part of that change to bring it back. New Kensington, if you're from the area, it was a booming place at one point in time. The birthplace of aluminum, I believe. So you see all these factories, that aren't there anymore, but they're trying to be the voice of change to bring it back. To show what can be done. And the manufacturers that are still in that area, they're helping show them how automation can be put into their operations, and also a training facility as well. So they're almost like an opportunity to, hey, if you're a small mom and pop shop, this is how you could automate this. This is how you could improve that process. And by the way, we have a training program, for those employees that are going to work on that type of system. And again, just being in downtown New Kensington, I think that's really unique of them to do that, and try and be a voice of change in a community that needs it. So that's been a project, 2.5, 3 years, that they've renovated and built a building and have all types of automation equipment in there. And it's really, again, just an awesome project to see come from, no building to a building to filling with equipment to seeing training happening to see them help manufacturers. It's truly something that it's really cool to see. And when you're in the building, you feel the buzz. You feel there's good people working there that are really passionate about bringing manufacturing back and showing businesses how they can be better with automation.
Yeah, there's a lot happening in the Pittsburgh region. And that's kind of in our backyard. We have a location in just outside of Pittsburgh in Lawrence, PA. So, we're trying to support that market too, from the integration side. So, yeah, kudos to you for that. Love seeing, the surrounding communities around Pittsburgh starting to thrive, and a lot of technology, coming into Pittsburgh. So, yeah, thank you for your efforts there. So, yeah, Gabe, again, thank you so much. Why don't you tell the listeners how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you inviting me on the show, and asking the questions. I would say, LinkedIn's a great resource. It's a great ability to connect, stay up to date with what's going on, and also follow our company page. We're always trying to talk about those successes, and promote what we do. So I would say LinkedIn is, the best opportunity to connect and stay connected.
All right, beautiful. All right, Gabe, hey, thanks a bunch. Marty, thank you.
Thank
you. This is a great one.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
great
guys.
discussion. Appreciate it.